Welcome to the Game Deflators Podcast, episode 56. My name is John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and this week, turn off your targeting computer, trust your instincts, it's the Inflation-Deflation Challenge.
No reference to Tauntauns.
Hey, we're jumping right into Star Wars month, everybody. No Tauntauns here.
There are Tauntauns. We literally just played with one.
Yeah, for like 30 seconds.
Okay, that's probably where I screwed up. I had the Tauntaun a lot longer in this one.
Yeah, 30 seconds is an understatement. It was longer than that. We'll get to it. It was a kind of an arduous inflation-deflation, and we'll tell you all about it later. But first up, John, I see a big old stack of games here. It was just Black Friday. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving and got some good deals the next day. Everybody's psyched for Cyber Monday, still waiting to get your deals. I hope you get some good stuff there. What'd you pick up this week, John?
You're so lucky, man. I was about to make a Ryan's Love Life joke, but I didn't get the chance to. Okay, so this week's pickups. I got Shenmue 1 and 2 on the PS4, Yooka-Laylee, and the Impossible Lair on PlayStation 4 as well, Yakuza Kiwami 2, Fallout 4, Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition, the Devil May Cry Remastered Collection.
HD
Collection, 1 through 3. And we ended up getting Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. My wife has played every Assassin's Creed game and needed Odyssey. So we picked that one up as well.
The collection is complete.
It is complete so far. Except I don't have the DS version.
Oh.
What else did I get?
Big loss there.
Yeah, right? Yeah, for sure. Big loss there. I like how you had on the outline, and I'm over here like straining to look at my pile in the corner. That's all I got, man. Did you pick up anything?
So I actually finally pulled the trigger on GameFly. Now, I didn't know exactly how it would work. This is how it works. You add games to your queue. It tells you their availability. And apparently, if their availability is low, it just doesn't even if it's at the top of your queue, I was like, this is what I want. I know the availability is low. It's at the top, so I'll wait for it. Well, I guess it jumped all the way down to the third on my list. So now I have Demon X Machina waiting for me in my mailbox. And I'm not really ready to play that game yet. So
looks like you are.
So am I going to check that out, or am I going to send that back and just delete everything except for what I actually want right now out of my queue and then wait for it?
So quick question on that. How many games can you get a month?
There's a 1 or a 2 game plan.
Okay, and you have the 1 game plan, I assume?
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. So they're like, oh, we don't have enough of that, so we're just going to go down on your priority list until we hit one?
It makes sense, I guess, if you're really just like, oh, I want to play all these games and it doesn't really matter in which order. That I can see as being a fine thing. But, given Star Wars month and the fact that neither of us is going to buy
screw that,
the new Star Wars game, I was hoping to GameFly that and have it so that we could check it out. But, I guess we'll just have to see what's up.
Yeah.
We could always maybe Redbox it or something, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. It's like $2 to Redbox a game. Yeah, we could do that.
We'll definitely be getting to that. We're going to do Star Wars month, much like Spider-Man month. We're going to try to start at the oldest and work our way up, but more on that later. So what have you actually been playing, John?
Oh, man. I took the plunge, and I'm in Sekiro right now.
There we go. Anybody who hasn't seen it, check out John's content on our YouTube or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check us out anywhere at The Game Deflators, except for
Twitter. It is Game Deflators. And content is only on YouTube, so as I beat some mini bosses, some of the more difficult ones, and as I beat the major bosses, I've been posting the videos of those captures on YouTube, so check it out on there. Pretty cool stuff. Judge my gameplay all you want, but I'm actually playing Sekiro, and I'm not breaking a controller over it, so that's great too. Dude, the game's awesome.
How do you find the adjustment? I know a lot of people had a hard time going from Dark Souls to Sekiro.
I think it's easier.
Or Bloodborne to Sekiro. I know that the combat style is a lot different.
I think it's a lot easier, in all honesty. So Bloodborne, you had or not Bloodborne, well, I guess Bloodborne 2, but in Dark Souls and Demon Souls, you had your riposte, so you could when you were getting hit, kind of counter and then attack, right? This one is just straight up like combat. So you're frequently blocking. You have a posture bar as well. And if your posture bar expands all the way, you lose your balance or your posture, and then you're open for like death blows. So with the bosses, it's pretty cool because like as you're battling, you can judge like, okay, I should really be attacking this guy right now and trying to make sure his health is low. So that way, when I do start blocking, his posture goes down faster. Like there's a little bit of a combination there. And the overall bosses, it's similar to Dark Souls in that you have, there's certain patterns that they have, right? So the Raging Bull, for example, was one I did recently. And it's just giant bull that just comes through a wall, has flames on its like, not horns, but the wood, piece that they put on the top of the bull.
Yeah, the yoke.
So that's on fire and it's just running around like crazy, right? And I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to beat this? Well, it turns out if I literally just target it and run around in a circle, it gets to a point where it crashes into a wall. You can get a couple strikes and then you just keep going in a circle. And like that's literally the pattern, the easiest way to beat it. There was another character that I went against. Who was it? It was Genichiro Ashina, who was one of the main foes, or pretty much is like the main baddie in the game so far. And he just had like an assortment of attacks and like patterns, but it kind of got to a point where, I don't know, after like the 50th time of trying to go against him, which shows my patience, by the way, because going against an enemy that many times in a row is just nuts. And it was over the course of a couple days. And you see his patterns after a while, like block, he'll shoot an arrow, he'll roll up, he'll hit you, you can quick step, hit him, and then you jump back. Like it's just over time, there's those patterns. Now, the game does do a really good job of mixing it up. So with Genichiro, for example, he has this, he jumps up in the air and then he slams his sword down. And on some occasions, he has his, there's like a red symbol that comes up. I forget the name of the symbol that comes up, but that comes up indicating it's one of his like major strikes. And in that case, like some of them, when he comes down with that sword, the red symbol comes up and you're like, oh crap, what's he going to do? There's sometimes where he's slicing, just a full broad slice. Other times he's doing a straight up jab. And then there's sometimes where it just doesn't happen. So it catches you off guard. So I can't tell you how many times, and it sucks because like you have to time it too. So if he's jabbing at you, you have to quick step at the right time. Otherwise, if you quick step too early, he'll jab into you in your quick step.
He'll track you.
Yeah, and if you quick step and he does the broad slice, well, then you get hit by the broad slice. Like there's no way to dodge that.
You got to do the jump for that one.
You have to do a jump for that one. And then the sad thing is like if you anticipate the broad slice and you do the jump, then he jabs upwards.
Yeah.
So like oh my God, it was just crazy how many times. And you saw the battle and like how ridiculous that was. And you go through, at least for him, and this is the last major boss I beat so far. So you go through him in 2 death blows, and you're like, all right, cool. I beat him. Like, this is good to go. And then it's like cutscene, and then he takes off all of his armor, summons like his lightning tome, and then he's just going crazy with like lightning strikes. It was a brutal battle.
It looked really cool, though. It's a good looking game.
It's awesome, dude. Like, it straight up, I was wanting a Tenchu game for the longest time, and this is really kind of
in that vein enough to satisfy.
Yeah, just the ability to sneak up behind people. You do have that, shinobi kind of like, I have to go super stealth to get behind guys. There's a lot of opportunity in the game where to get to a certain section of a level, for example, you can either go through tons of enemies or you can literally stealth your way around and knock out as many as possible to make things easier. Like there's certain bosses, like mini bosses, that I have had the ability to just kind of sneak around, stab a few guys, knock them out, and then go against a mini boss, and it just makes things so much easier. And I will note before I pass this back to you, the mini bosses I feel are a lot harder than the main bosses for some strange reason. I have no idea. It feels like the bosses have a pattern you can follow a little better than the mini bosses. The mini bosses seem to be kind of all over the place, like their attacks that they do, like the red symbol and their special attacks, just come up a lot more frequently, in my opinion, than the main bosses. And it's just kind of put into a sense where, like I said, the patterns are just there for the bosses. Like, what that boss is going to do, what its pattern typically is, how it opens up the battle and everything. Whereas the mini bosses, you can see it open up the battle one way, but after that, it's just kind of,
Goes off the
feels,
rails
yeah,
for you.
it feels random in a way. So that's kind of cool. It really sets you off guard in a sense. But yeah, I'm enjoying the game so far. I just beat Kenichiro, and I am in the Ashino Reservoir trying to beat the I forget his name, but he's a 7 spears, so he's a pretty difficult mini boss. And after that, I don't know where I go after that. So I gotta start playing some more. But I'm probably technically like Dark Souls, where you have the worlds in a sense, like the new areas. I am in technically the 3rd area right now, and I think there's 6 or 7, and there's like 16 bosses, I believe, in the game, like main bosses, and I've only beat 3. So yeah, so check out the content. It's on YouTube.
You're well on your way.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's a great game, dude. I'm super stoked, and I'm kind of upset that it took me so long to play it. I've had it since March, and it's totally worth it. Like every penny I spent on it, like totally worth it. So if you've seen it on sale through Black Friday or Cyber Monday, like definitely pick it up. It's a hard game. There is no online component, so you can't cheese your way through with like 2 other players to try and beat a boss. Like you're on your own, and it's definitely difficult, but it's so worth it when you beat a boss and just that like elation after beating a boss. Absolutely love it. It's like the best feeling in the world. And my wife has just watched me on several times, just like throw up my arms, like finally,
victory.
It just took me like 3 days to beat this guy. So it's been great.
Good.
All right, what are you playing? How can you live up to my Sekiro description, Ryan?
Oh, I can't, but I do have something. So I've been playing Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age on Switch, and I think I'm like 14 hours in or something, and I don't feel like I've spent a lot of time grinding by any means, but the grinding is so easy in this game because of the Gambit system. I've kind of gotten to a point where I've gotten everybody 2 jobs now. I'm really starting to fill out their job boards, and I don't know, it
seems like the unemployment rate in Final Fantasy XII is pretty good then.
Yeah. The story is starting to kind of pick up a little bit. Like there was a betrayal, and now I can't remember where I'm heading. Well, anyways, I was gonna play a bunch while I was on vacation this week, and it turns out I got sucked right back into Cave Blazers all week. That's right. So I guess there's been some updates or something, because I started unlocking some new things and trying some new stuff out. I managed to beat it with another character, and Cave Blazers is just as fun and addictive as I remember it to be. But now that I'm back, I'm going to stop playing it again and get back to Final Fantasy XII.
You know what you should get
Actually,
back
I need to get back to Zone of the Enders.
Yeah. I was going to say, you've got 30 days.
30 days.
30 days to get this done. And that is how many podcast episodes, Ryan? How many podcast episodes are we
4?
looking at? I don't know. Let's see. It depends. 1, counting today. 2, 3, 4. You have 5 on the 5th podcast episode on December 29th, you should have this game beat.
Oh, it will be beat.
Yeah.
It'll be beat by then. I'll definitely make sure I get through Zone of the Enders.
Because here's the thing. We are announcing our new game's resolution on December 29th.
Yeah.
To be released on December 30th. Just in time for the new year.
Just in time. So, hey, everybody else out there, start thinking about your new game's resolutions. What's a game that you've always wanted to play that's sitting on your shelf looking at you, and you're like, man, I need to get around to that game. Get around to that. Come in 2020, new game's resolution.
So, for 2020, I'll take on 3. All right, I've already decided I'm doing 3 games because I have to in this respect. You can do 1 if you want.
So we'd just be reversed?
We would just reverse it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be appropriate. Then there's not as much pressure on you towards the tail end of the year, and it'll just be on me to struggle mightily. And that depends on how long it takes me to beat Sekiro as well.
Well, neither of us really even started our new game's resolution until like July.
Yeah, except I had like a 55-hour game.
Yeah.
And it took me... No, I started back in like April.
Did you?
April or May, I think.
April or May?
Yeah.
I guess I started then too, because I started when we went to Japan.
Well, and I played several games in that process too, so it wasn't like I was exclusive to that game.
No,
so,
yeah, exactly. I mean, we've been playing a lot of stuff. I played a lot more this year. Well, let's save some of this talking about the end of the year for the end of the year. And let's jump right into the news.
So excited, Ryan. All right, news. Blue Point Games.
Why don't you read it? Why don't you read the tweet?
I will. I'm getting to the introduction, Ryan. Oh, you're killing me. All right, let me go to Twitter, which we did retweet, by the way, because I've been using the Twitter. So, Blue Point Games, and if you didn't notice, Ryan, they had another tweet before that. So let me actually go to their page. And for those of you that don't know who Blue Point Games is,
Blue Point Games is responsible for a lot of ports and HD collections that have come out over the years. They did Shadow of the Colossus, Uncharted, Gravity Rush, Flower, Titanfall. They worked on PlayStation Battle All-Stars, Royale, Metal Gear Solid HD collection, lots of stuff. Their one original game that they have was Blast Factor, which I think was a launch title. It was one of the only digital launch downloads.
And
as well.
I played that game a lot when the PlayStation 3 came out. That game was awesome. I actually really did like it. Okay, so Blue Point Games, they had 2 different tweets over the last month. So the first one says, "So calm this spooky night, a symphony of rumors, not one but two, return from shadow, a resistance to dart home as black monsters escape twisted hills to wander lands and siphon souls. Filter your candy collections, soften from solid, to be eco-friendly, have a metal Halloween." So that was their first one.
And it's like, it's got a picture or a gif of the moon, like a blood moon with like a bunch of bats flying.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder if there's Bloodborne in here, which they
I don't
wouldn't
know,
do,
that,
obviously, because that's from software.
Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, right? So that's tied in. But the Souls component is what people are worried about. So then the next one says, "2 classics we play, our blood, sweat, tears give thanks. To family and fans, eager you stay. Cheers, rekindle flames. Thanks. Today feast, tomorrow rest. Soon beast freed from jest. Temptation we shun, then on to the next. We reset, further a doom." Or is that a dumb?
Adorn.
Adorn, sorry. My eyesight is terrible. "The Genesis and era reborn." So what they're hinting at, nobody knows. But
there's speculation.
Yeah.
Wild speculation.
Wild speculation on what they could possibly be talking about. And so the thought is maybe they're talking about a remaster of Demon Souls.
Demon Souls. I also saw people posting Legend of the Dragoon.
Yeah, which
in the comments,
that does make sense because of the moon.
Well, and Dart is the main character.
Yeah, so the Siphon Souls component, it's weird because like you have Symphony, so is it like, are they working on some sort of Castlevania project? You've got the Souls piece. Are we talking Demon Souls and Flames from Rekindling Flames?
Well, and they're talking about 2.
Yeah.
It mentions 2 in both of these.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So is it,
if it's
Demon Souls 2, which would be awesome, but I think that's from Software and Bandai, if I'm correct.
Well, and they've already released an HD remake or remaster for Dark Souls, so it wouldn't be like a Dark Souls, Demon Souls HD remake.
I don't think they would have anything to do with Dark Souls, though.
Yeah.
Just because that's not a Sony IP. And not to say that they're a Sony IP, but a lot of their projects have been Sony-based projects, obviously.
Yeah, they worked with Sony on pretty much all this stuff.
Exactly. So, really, I could see this maybe being some sort of Demon Souls thing. Some people have said Siphon Filter could be a possible remake. Legend of Dragoon would be badass if it was. And I've talked about that on several episodes. A straight-up remake or HD remake of Legend of Dragoon would be
awesome.
Awesome, yeah. Like I would totally play that, and I already beat the game, and I would still play it. So, who knows? I still think it's pretty awesome that they're just kind of going off on these like random tweets and just opening up to like wild speculation, because then we get to talk about it.
So, if you guys have any speculation or you guys have any guesses at what this might be, let us know. Send us a tweet.
And I do love that they have the GIF of the dog and like teasing it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like it's just straight up like them telling you, yeah, we're teasing you.
Yeah. They're being very cocky here and I love it.
Yeah, it's some good trolling. So I believe, are we logged in on Twitter here? If we are, let's see. Let's follow Blue Point Games.
There we go. We'll follow Blue Point Games and we'll let you know when we hear more about them.
All right, cool. Dude, I'm loving Twitter. I used to hate Twitter, but I actually do like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next bit of news. I laughed so hard at this, by the way.
This is so sad.
I couldn't help. I mean, that was a happy ending, but
No, but I mean, it's just sad, the premise of what happened
oh yeah,
here.
yeah. Okay, so I'm so excited to read this one. Man spends 1.4 million on game character, which his friend accidentally sold, and we'll say accidentally sold for $552. I laughed so hard when I read that title, just from the idea of who in their right mind spends $1.4 million on digital content for a character.
I know. I've heard of people spending a lot of money on MMOs, but
That's absurd.
this
dude.
is outrageous. So this guy was playing what is it? An MMORPG called Justice Online. It's a NetEase game from China, and this guy must have the coolest character ever, because that's
and the coolest job
a lot
too.
of investment. Yeah, I mean, for somebody to be able to toss that kind of money at a game, they've either got to be living in an internet cafe or living in a mansion.
Or both.
Or both.
Maybe it's a mansion internet cafe.
So he lent this character to his friend, and then his friend was holding it ransom for 388,000 yuan, which translates to about $55,000. And when he wouldn't pay the ransom to get it back, his friend set it up for sale, and he said that he, after a long marathon gaming session, put it up with the typo for $552, which would make this probably the best investment anybody's ever made. $552 for $1.4 million worth of character.
What I want to know is, how do you miss that many digits as a typo? Like, it's one thing to
It
say,
must
like,
have been some gaming session.
oh yeah, it's one thing to be like, oh, I accidentally put it for 5,000, but 552. There's some weird stuff going on with this, but I think it's hilarious, dude. The guy spent a ton of money. The other guy holds it hostage because who loans a $1.4 million investment character to a friend? Like, you're already not really supposed to give friends passwords for things. Why would you give him a character that you've invested that much money into?
Exactly.
And by the way, this article is brought to us by Kotaku. And so take whatever you want with a grain of salt on this one as far as
Ashcraft
legitimacy.
at Kotaku.
I think we've mentioned Brian Ashcraft before. But either way, it's got a lot of retweets, a lot of comments on it, and it is a hilarious situation. Dude, come on. Even if I had like 3 hours of sleep and was marathoning a game for that period of time, there is no way in hell I am accidentally selling something for $552 instead of $55,000.
Yeah. So the guy he sued NetEase and his friend. He got his character back. But the weird thing that I don't know if the article just words it wrong, but it says that while the plaintiff got his $1.4 million investment back, he reportedly had to pay $12,000 in damages to the player who bought the character on the cheap. So I don't understand why
Emotional stress, Ryan.
but I don't understand why he would have to pay that. I would think that the person who stole the character and then sold it would be the one to pay those damages, because they're the one who caused this whole problem
No,
begin with.
The guy that caused the problem to begin with was the moron that loaned out his $1.4 million investment character.
So
That's how it all started.
You think that he should have to pay $12,000 as a learn your lesson?
Just for being a dumbass. Yeah,
Okay.
pay $12,000 for being a dumbass. That's where I'm at on that.
Well, I guess if he's got $1.4 million to throw on a character, I guess
He's got $12,000 to
Yeah.
throw towards. Yeah.
So the real winner here is the guy who got $12,000 for free.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that's the greatest investment. You literally paid $500 to then gain $12,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
and
return.
then reinvest it into your character
Yeah,
if you want to.
pretty good.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. And then of course the loser is a guy that had to play the other character and then give it up. So interesting situation. But lesson learned for everybody out there: don't spend $1.4 million on a game character and then loan it to your friend, expecting them to not try and sell it on the cheap.
Exactly.
Okay. That is some fun news. We should do more of those articles. Like
I hope there's not more of those.
we should do like more dumb gaming articles. You know how on Holmberg's Morning Sickness they always have like the wild news and all
Yeah.
that stuff. We should do that for gaming.
Some news segments. We'll
should
come
do
up with some segment names.
Yeah, we should start finding some weird segments in gaming. All right. So
Next up,
I
we
kind
got
of wanted to discuss the other one first, number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so this article came out. This one's by Alex Saint-Amour at Link Cable, and his article is titled "Stadia Has Already Failed." Ryan, do you think Stadia has failed?
So he does say, this is pretty quick after to be, declaring it a complete failure, but I think that we can all agree that the launch of Stadia was not really as advertised, and I don't think many people are too surprised by that. I think Stadia was promising an awful lot, and I think that was always going to be really hard to deliver on. And I think that, the fact that it is off to a rough start doesn't bode well for them, but I don't think it's the death sentence that he's kind of saying it is.
Well, I'm on both sides of this. So I do expect a company like Google, who has, they're a massive company of, what is it, 140 billion US dollars, right? Like that's their buying power. Like they're massive. So how does a company like Google not launch something like this, an area that they're supposed to be experts in? How do they not launch it well?
Well, that's the thing. I think that
and then
if you look at the way the market is right now, with all of the game companies do the let's just ship it and fix it in post live service kind of approach, I mean, that's exactly what I think we should have expected. I mean, just get it out the door, get it running, and then you can fix it up later, and you'll just have to reinvest in your early adopters.
But here's my issue with that. So you've already got companies like Microsoft and Sony that are doing the streaming service well. Even Nintendo's in it, doing it well with their online component, and the Super Nintendo and NES games, right, with their virtual console and being able to do that. So you have these companies that are actively doing it well in the market.
But they're doing it on their proprietary consoles.
They are. And that's fine.
Or home PC.
But if you're going to say you're going to do something and you're going to launch a service and it's supposed to be this like ultimate service and like this, new innovative idea, then do it right. And if you're not going to do it right, then hold your launch off rather than having a crappy launch. And then also you have PS5 and Xbox One coming out with more virtual, digital content and everything else going on with it, and already an established, streaming service for both of those companies. You're jumping into 2020 with pretty much a terrible launch, not keeping up with promises, and no exclusive games outside of some indie titles because you can purchase those. So they don't even have timed exclusives for the most part going into 2020 yet. If you have that much buying power, you should be able to secure that. And in my mind, it just shows how not serious Google is about Google Stadia. This is like
I don't think
an experiment in a sense.
I don't think so. I think that getting in early and then fixing it up after is probably not a good approach by any means, but I don't think it's a terrible approach because you're going to get people like they sold out their launch edition bundles, so all those people are already going to have investment in the platform, and come next year, maybe those people don't want to pay $500 for a PlayStation 5 if they're willing to forego those exclusives, and Stadia has gotten its stuff together and is now able to offer the third-party titles on their platform, which you don't need a TV, you don't need a console. Your ability to use Stadia remotely, wherever, however, whenever, is still going to be a big factor that they're going to already have people invested in, and it's not going to cost them more than it would cost them to get a game on the console. Now, the streaming we talked about, was that last week or the week before?
Yeah,
with how much it costs.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing, whether people are willing to pay that or whether, data caps change based on this, or they come out with some new gaming bundles that are reasonably priced and establish, a new quota of caps. But I think that we just have to wait and see. I think it's way too soon to call it a failure just because it got off to a bad start. I mean, people, it happens all the time. You know, people jump the gun, put something out there. I mean, people actually like Fallout 76 now more than they did at launch, despite how bad that's kept getting. And
well, because you're always going to have your core base of people that are going to play those games, kind of like the Wii U, for example. I love the Wii U. Like, it's one of my favorite consoles.
A lot of people say that too.
Yeah,
but I never got one because I just stayed away because of what I heard. So this could be another one of those situations.
Well, yeah, and it could be, which is what's mentioned in the article. But then they do bring up things like the PlayStation 3 got off to a pretty rough start when it initially launched. It had like a $500 or $600 price tag, if I recall. I don't remember. It was super high back then. And so with that console in general, it ended up being one of the better selling consoles of Sony. I don't know how this is going to be for Google, man. Like, are they going to look at this in a 2-year time span and just see like their user or their adoption rate is not where it should be based on their estimates, and they funneled in X amount of money? They're trying to get exclusives, they're trying to purchase games, giving money out to different studios and such. Does this become a situation where their investment just isn't worth it enough for them to continue doing this? And with it being Google and the type of company they are, this isn't a core focus of theirs. So they may just be like, all right, we're throwing in a towel after 2 years and that's it. We're kind of done with this service. And I can see that happening. Like, if Nintendo gave up on the Wii U because of sales, imagine a company like Google. Like, are they honestly going to continue putting down more money into this type of service?
Well, they're worth way more.
They are worth way more, and I totally get it. But are they
They've
willing
got the
to
money
do
to
this?
spend on it to make it what it needs to be.
But
I
they
mean,
haven't
right now,
done that.
Well, but right now it's not even like out in the wild. Like, it's still only on their platforms for the most part. Like, you can't, unless you have a Pixel or a Pixel tablet, you know, you can't even do it on your phone or tablet like they said. But once you get this onto an iPad, and people with iPads everywhere can...
Yeah, but think about from the perspective of them having to actually give money to Apple to have that service on there. Like, Apple's just not... Apple has Apple Arcade, and they're into some gaming as well. So
no, yeah, that's different. That's not playing Red Dead on your iPad.
No, I get it.
If I could play Red Dead on my iPad...
No, what I'm saying is a financial investment needed by Google to even put it on an iPad. They're going to have to fork over money to even have that service on Apple's products.
Well, yeah, but so does everybody else.
Yeah, I totally get it.
That's just how it works.
But do you think Google's going to get away with
Google has Google Chrome on the iPad.
Do they?
Yes.
Okay, and they probably pay some money for that too.
You can use Google on Safari.
I know you can.
That's just that's not argument enough for me to believe that's a point.
I'm just saying that over the next couple of years, we'll see how this turns out. I don't foresee it going past 2 years, but who knows? I could eat my words. But if other consoles have failed before,
he says at the end of his article, I'm going to call this one early. Stadia will not recover from this launch, and if I'm wrong, well, I'll definitely be eating crow while enjoying Doom Eternal on my Pixel 3.
There you go. So
you're right there with him.
I'll take the same stance, man. If they do not have the adoption rate they want over the next couple of years, they will throw in a towel and they'll be like, all right, we're out. We'll support gaming in some other type of capacity, but what they're doing right now, who knows?
I don't think that we've seen the myriad of features that they want to implemented yet. And I think that depending on how those features go and the launches for, you know, a feature-rich, complete version of Stadia have yet to be seen. And until that comes about, I think we're not able to judge what it is yet. We're only judging what it is now. And I think that once we see more, it'll look a little bit more enticing to people. And I still think that this isn't a platform for people who want to play video games on a console. This is a platform for people who want to play video games in other ways and are willing to invest in ways to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like VR. Like, the road for VR has been long and it's still going on. But if Oculus had given up after the first one, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Well, of course. I totally get that. But there's other services out there. Which
Either way, this is going to be the wave of the future. Streaming games is going to eventually be the primary way people play games.
Yeah, and I'm happy you say primary because it does call out in this article as well that the other, players out there, Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, all have alternate ways for you to be able to get games. So even though you have digital content, there is that physical media. And me as a collector and as a gamer, I would rather own the physical media versus having a digital download that at any point can just be gone. Mm-hmm. Like they just say, we're not supporting this anymore. But Ryan, do you hear that?
Here comes a new challenger.
So it looks like Google's not the only one jumping into this. There are now rumors based on some job listings that Amazon will be launching a gaming streaming service in 2020. This is brought to you by Abby Espirito of The Gamer. And it looks like Abby's got some pretty cool articles on her website, so definitely check that out. So what are your thoughts, Ryan, on Amazon potentially jumping into the market?
Well, Amazon is the owner of Twitch, and Twitch is the main place where people watch people play games live. And I think that maybe that is a stronger tie and connection than Google's YouTube and Google's appreciation of gaming media on their platform, especially with other things that are coming up soon that we'll talk about later, I'm sure. But I think that while Amazon making a streaming service is not anything new to them, they're very good at doing that already. And Twitch is, there's something in there. There's something that they can do with that. I just don't know that it's going to be any more compelling or that they'll be any more capable of making it happen than Google. I think that this is just going to wind up being a Stadia Lite situation. And, it's all very early rumor mill stuff based on some job postings. We don't know what this will eventually turn into.
Well, here's the job posting. So it says that they recently recruited Microsoft to help with the launch and hired workers for an undisclosed new initiative within Amazon Web Services. So that's from the article. And if you go a little later on, it actually gives the description itself. And let me see where it's on. It says, we believe the evolution that began with the arcade communities a quarter at a time, growing into the live streams and esports of today, will continue to a future where everyone is a gamer and every gamer can create, compete, collaborate, and connect with others at massive scales. So this kind of sounds more like streaming in a sense, like
it sounds
expanding their streaming services.
It sounds like almost like a gaming community, more like a social media type thing than maybe an actual game service. Like if there was a dedicated platform like Twitch, but integrated with more of a Facebook type component of really sharing and bringing up certain things. Like when you go to Twitch and you watch something, you're watching the one thing. But if you went there and you had channels where you could see, different people posting various versions of the same thing, almost more like a YouTube search. If you were looking up like your Sekiro video, you could find your Sekiro video and you could find a bunch of other people's and see how everybody took this boss on. Now, if you had that in like a more condensed type of feed situation where you were able to, quickly view these things and keep tabs on, what you like and your preferences and stuff, I could see maybe that being a thing. But them launching like their own full game streaming service to compete, I don't know if that's really a smart play for them to go towards.
Well, who knows, man? They've got Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Prime Music, Amazon Prime Books. Like they've got everything, but it gets to a point where are you going to be stretched too thin and do a lot of things, but not all of them really well? So I can go to a Netflix or Disney. Well, Disney Plus is kind of different because it's Disney. They do everything pretty well. But am I gonna like if you look at Amazon Prime compared to Netflix, the functionality of both of those is night and day. Like Netflix is 1,000 times ahead of Amazon in that respect. Now Amazon is doing well; they're not bad, but it's not the same quality in a sense in terms of the overall user feel. And so it'll be interesting to see if they do anything along those lines of gaming. And it does say on this article that another line in that description is to drive innovative new use cases like machine vision and game streaming. So again, that word of streaming can be anything. That could be we're going to stream games like a Google Stadia, or we are going to stream games like Twitch, and we're going to expand on our Twitch base and really just kind of expanding the use cases tied to Twitch versus gaming itself, like the actual physical media. So we'll see. It's all speculation, and it's cool speculation to kind of think about. In a sense, I'm not a huge fan, as you know, of digital streaming and digital games. Like, I prefer physical media. So honestly, like, just to be upfront, I would rather see companies like Google and Amazon fail at this so we can continue getting physical media.
Well, I think that physical media there will always be a market for it. I mean, with bespoke services like what's the place you ordered your physical copy of that digital-only game? Oh, they had the terrible E3 conference.
Limited run games.
There's a
lot. There's like super
there's a lot of those services out there. So there's always going to be a market for, collectors and stuff. And, eventually it may even become a better market once more people are willing to let go of the need for physical release. I don't know. We'll just have to see what the future holds for this. A lot of this stuff today, it was a slow news day. This is all future news.
Future news.
Future news.
We'll see. But it's been broken here on articles that the Game Deflators read. Okay. We're going into some old news now. Our inflation deflation challenge. Ryan, you were super excited about this because you did so much better than I did. This is Empire Strikes Back on the Game Boy.
So this was kicking off Star Wars month. Dun, dun, do the scroll. We've got all the words going up. We're kicking into hyperspeed.
If I was better at digital editing, I would totally have that whole little piece right there, just kind of scrolling really quick.
So we've got, Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back on Game Boy, developed by Lucasfilm Games and Sculpted Software, published by JVC, designers Mark Ebert and Kalani Stryker, released back in March 1992 to a resounding 66 on its one review, although Nintendo Power did give it a Best Overall Game Award. So
it's because it was on the Game Boy.
Who knows what was going on in 1992? There had to have been something better for Nintendo that year, but either way...
Little under-the-table cash transactions, probably.
Either way, we got Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. And John, I think that this game was all right, leaning towards not good.
Really? I thought you had a lot of fun.
No, it was a lot of... So, we...
I sucked.
We were playing this on the SP.
Well, yeah, it's a better version to play it on.
Yeah, and it was... I think that it sounds good. It sounds Star Wars-y. I think that the backgrounds are very bland, but I think the sprites themselves, like the droids look like droids. The Tauntaun looks as good like a Tauntaun as you can. Luke looks good. He looks just like Luke in his snow outfit. It was the snow speeder looked good. The AT-ATs. There was some stuff in this game that I think, most of the LucasArts games that I've played, if anything, I think they are very true to Star Wars visually, but it's just hard to capture that Star Wars essence and bottle it up and put it in a game.
Well, there's a reason games like KOTOR are just above and beyond a better experience, right? Like, and what's your one? Battlefront. Like, games like that, and I'm talking old Battlefront, not the newest one. So there's a reason games like that have always done well, because those have tried to really focus on the gameplay, not necessarily the visual components, right? This one focused a lot on visual, but the gameplay, in my opinion, wasn't really there.
Well, there's only so much you could do on a Game Boy.
Well, yeah. For me though, it did feel kind of clunky, like Luke and the Tauntaun falling down like in that cave.
The slowdown
super
when you
slow.
fall
And
is
then
ridiculous.
the
Luke
jumping-
leaps like he just leaps like crazy, but as soon as he starts to fall, it's just slow mo.
Exactly.
Somebody
So-
used feather fall on Luke.
Yeah, and there was a lot of that. And I mean, a Tauntaun doesn't have featherfall. Luke, maybe. A Tauntaun, no. Like that thing's just coming down quick.
He hasn't met Yoda yet. He doesn't know how to force good.
Yeah, that's exactly. So, I mean, he had to pick up force power-ups in the game.
Yep.
So for me, I didn't get too far into the game, and that's more of an inability on my part to play this game. It didn't connect. Maybe it's because I've been playing so much damn Sekiro. My mind is on like that type
You're on
of control.
turbo speed.
Yeah, I'm on straight up like quick dodges and everything else. When I feather fall into a
Nothing
cave,
quick about this game.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty slow going for me, and
Especially
I
the
could not do it.
bosses. I got through a couple of the bosses, and I had to just sit there in a corner and just mash the attack button for like minutes to just slowly whittle down the health of these guys. And not good game design. I understand that it's probably not a very long game, if you play through it. So I'd imagine that, you got to do whatever you can to bullet sponge out the enemies. You checking it out?
Yeah, I'm gonna check out howlongtobeat.com.
I just think that, well, here, while he's checking that out, let's talk about brass tacks here, people. So if you have this game complete in box, it's a nice $30.26 right now. Not peaked back in November 2017 at $44. Currently, it's trending down. But who has complete in-box Game Boy games, John? Who?
I do.
Hardly any. You've got like 5.
Maybe 10.
10, maybe.
No, you're right.
But you definitely don't have this. So most people, this will run you $9. That's down from $9.50 in July 2019. It's ticking up a little bit there, but I'd say you get this game loose, $9 easy, probably whenever. But what? How long is this game?
5 hours.
5 hours. So, and a lot of that is probably spent sitting in a corner, mashing the attack button, slowly draining the boss health.
Yeah, probably. Just like you said, functionality wise, game isn't that great. Visually,
You take a lot of damage in certain areas. If you fall into the cold water at the bottom of the levels, I think it's supposed to be
3 jumps
cold
and you're dead. Yeah, 3 jumps and you're dead.
Yeah, you die. It's probably, it built tough to last. You want to get your money out of these games, so I don't know, $9 for 5 hours. That's
kind of steep in my opinion for this game. But if you're a Star Wars fan, and we talked about this, with Spider-Man and such in the past, if you're a Star Wars fan and you don't have this in your collection and you want to play it, $9 probably isn't that bad.
See, I would think if you're a Star Wars fan and you've already got, if you're a collector of Star Wars stuff, you've got your in the box Boba Fett, you're in the box, whatever that droid that looks like a walking refrigerator is, that I don't know the name of it is, your guy sitting behind the piano in Jabba's palace, you've got all the things and they're all pristine.
But you don't have Empire Strikes Back.
I don't think you're going for that 9. I think you're going for that $30.26, which in the grand scheme of things, if you're a true Star Wars collector and you want all the Star Wars stuff
Then
in
you're
the
gonna
best
pay for
condition,
it. Yeah.
I don't think that's an awful price.
No.
Really, $30 seems pretty affordable for something that probably isn't that common and, isn't a great game, but you're just going to look at it anyways.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess if from a collector standpoint of Star Wars memorabilia and such, $30, not so bad. Loose price if you actually want to play the game. So we'll go off loose. $9, I think, is a little steep. I think $5 to $6 would be about right for this type of game. It's 5 hours of gameplay. It's kind of difficult. It's clunky. It's not the best. If you really want to play a Star Wars game, I think $5-6.
Yeah, and if if you're just looking to actually try it out and play it, I don't think that $9 is too big of an investment if you can turn around and get rid of it. Like, if it's just something you want to check out, I would say you could go, the price of shipping getting it, the price of shipping sending it, and that would basically be what you would pay for the game.
Well, and if you fully intend on beating this game, like, hey, I'm going to pick up this Star Wars game for $9 and I'm going to beat this game. I'm going to play the hell out of it till I beat it. Then $9 is not bad.
Yeah.
If you're just buying it because
if you
want
found
to
it
try
in a bin for $9 and you just were like, oh, I've never even heard of this, $9 is too much. If you know what you're getting into, I think 9 is,
that's a fair statement.
Yeah, I want to say that this game is not inflated or deflated. I think this game is pretty much right where it should be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So yeah, if you're intending on playing this game, 100%, $9 sounds about right. If you're looking for a bargain, you just want to try it out, $5-6.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, so we gotta have like a middle tier grade on this for this type of stuff because we've got
inflated, deflated. We'll just call it flated.
I was gonna say just right.
Just right.
Just right. All right, so it's just right. Okay, cool. Next week we need to play Super Nintendo. So I propose that we play Super Return of a Jedi. It's my original copy from when I was a kid. We should totally check it out.
Hey, it's the next best thing to Empire.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. Did you? There was a thing on Facebook the other day. I don't know if I shared it with you, but this guy goes in this long rant and he starts talking about how, I can't believe Star Wars. They have this movie that comes out and it's about this, young Jedi master or Jedi going out to try and get training, only to find out that the master's gone crazy and the master just disappears. Blah blah blah. There's a reason Empire Strikes Back is so terrible. And it's just like all these angry comments.
Gosh.
I gotta find it for you, dude, but it's hilarious. Just it kind of plays off like it's the most recent Star Wars movie that came out. And then when you read it, it's like, and that's why Empire Strikes Back is the worst sequel in Star Wars. Like, oh, they just like frayed so many people at that point. So
well, get ready for more Star Wars month. We're gonna talk about that. We'll both eventually. We still haven't watched Mandalorian. We'll watch that. We'll talk about some of that. We'll see the new Star Wars when it comes out, and we'll close the month out checking out Jedi Fallen Order.
Hopefully. And we will be announcing our new games resolution. So if you haven't gotten one yet, go ahead and let us know on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can comment on YouTube if you like. That's always nice.
Yeah,
and
let
subscribe.
John know that you watched his videos and that those bosses were hard.
Yep. So subscribe to all of our areas and keep up with the Game Deflators. My name is John.
I'm Ryan.
And I just said it a moment ago. We are
the Game Deflators.